Today I will show you how I make skin tones with the Derwent Inktense. First I start with a layer of the Sicilian yellow. Then I put another layer with the carmine pink. Those two colors you can find in the complete set of 72, or you can buy them separately. You see, I put a very thin layer because the Inktense is an intense color. You don't need to put too much pigment on the paper. It helps when you hold your pencil very long from the point, so you have a very slight pressure. If you get more to the point, you get more pressure. And when you take a longer hold, you get a slight pressure. Then it's much easier to put a very thin layer of pigments on the paper. So here I put the Sicilian yellow from the Derwent Inktense. And then I will take the carmine pink and do the same, a very thin layer of carmine pink. Important is that you use a very thin layer of carmine pink because it's much too bright when you dissolve it with water, because the Inktense is an inked in a pencil and is very bright in pigments. But for the skin tone you want to have a very thin color pigments. Even the lips get the carmine pink color. For a colorist, this is a very thin layer of pigments, and that's just enough for the Inktense. You can see a very thin layer. That's totally different than when you work with the normal color pencils. So the Inktense, you need to be careful with layering. Now I take the iris blue for coloring the iris eyes. You see, I take the pencil more to the point so I get more pressure. Make a variation of how you hold your pencil. Now I take a violet, even to get a more depth in the eye. Then again the yellow ochre. No, not a yellow ochre, Sicilian yellow. I'm always explaining that when you're making a skin tone you use a yellow ochre and a pink color, but with the Inktense you need really the Sicilian yellow and the carmine pink. If you use different kind of combination, it's much too dark and much too bright color. So only the Sicilian yellow and the bright pink give the best result for a skin tone with the Inktense. Now I'm taking a pencil with water and dissolving the Inktense, and see what happens. The skin tone appears. The best thing to do is to wet the whole area, because if you leave it like this then it can dry, and when it's dry it's water resistant and you get a spot. So be careful with water. The whole neck, the whole shoulders and the breasts, and dissolve the Inktense pencil. If it's too wet, dry your pencil. Is it too dry, get more water. Now I take my Inktense and with the brush I rub over the pencil. That's also a way to get the pigment in your pencil and transfer it on your paper. You can correct your skin tone like this. Oh, too much? doesn't matter. And then I can use a little bit too wet, dry it. You know, you can correct it. If it's still wet, it's possible. When it's dry, it's water resistant and you cannot correct it anymore. So the shoulders again. Transfer a little bit of carmine pink on top of the shoulders, like a washing. The lips. Get more color from the point. The eyeshadows. You don't need a lot of water. On this paper of Schut drawing artist paper, 225 grams. It's not a real aquarelle paper, but it's just fine. A slight wet pencil is enough. Don't use too much water. Some blushes on the cheeks. And now fast forward, heat tool to dry everything. And now I'm taking the yellow for the jewelry, also with water. And for the big surface, I'm using the Derwent travel set. It's much easier to bring the inktense coloring like this. A lot of water, a lot of orange. Put some extra pigments for brighter color. Then the dress. Using the heat tool again. Now I want to put some extra red in the lips, also with the carmine pink, a little water. Heat tool again. Now I'm mixing a shadow color, purple and blue. A second layer on top of the already dried inktense. I put the shadow color purple. It's a cold color, that's why it goes back. It gives more depth in this stencil from the lovely ladies. Some extra on the lips, on the nose. Here I show you how I work with the inktense in this stencil from the lovely ladies. I hope you enjoy it. Until next time!